Episode 13. Welcome back, everybody. Crazy weekend of football in general, but college football so far. Just another amazing week where you just never know. Every week I come on here and I think that I've got a good understanding of what I think will happen in the next coming weeks, and then whatever I decide is just going to be completely flipped on its head. But what a weekend of college football. I mean, just simply absolutely unexpected, and I would say from the jump from, like, Friday night when we got the first game, the Miami-Louisville game, which we'll cover, just kinda proved to me that this weekend was just gonna be crazy with upsets, down to the wire games, just I mean, college football is once again so unpredictable every single week, and it is awesome. It is like that is why college football is the greatest sport in America. But once again, welcome back, everybody. Glad everybody can come and watch again this week. Just kind of recap. I'll recap the games that ESPN doesn't want to because they only give love to the SEC. So and Ohio State, but whatever. Once again, 217 podcast sponsored by Southern Cut Barbecue. Go check them out on Instagram. It'll be linked below in the description of this video and the description of last video. Once again, 100 followers, going to do a giveaway. Going to do, they're going to also pitch in for, I think, like a catered meal. So it's good stuff. Make sure you go follow them on Instagram. But let's jump right into this. Tanner says, bang. Yep, back. Let's go. Big W for the Bears today. I know Tanner's probably pretty hyped up about that. He's also crushing it in fantasy, so big time for him. I'm going to jump right into this list. Got with some of the guys, worked on this a little bit, see what they were feeling, kind of revamp this list a little bit after this week of college football. So I'll go ahead and give the coloring system once again for people that weren't here last week. So green is you've got a real chance of making the college football playoff or winning their conference, which in theory would get them into the college football playoff no matter what as an AQ. But if they don't win their conference, like say Oregon is a good example of this, they still should get into the playoff. Yellow, they have an outside shot of making their conference championship and sneaking into the playoff, but they got to have a little bit of movement. They got to kind of win out, or some things have to happen. And then you go all the way down to red, where they don't control their own destiny anymore, and they would need a lot of shakeup to get in. This would be like Miami. As of right now, Miami doesn't control their own destiny. It's pretty much if Virginia or SMU win out, and SMU and Virginia play each other in this coming week, probably whoever wins that game makes the ACC championship game with Georgia Tech, because Georgia Tech has probably one of the easier schedules in all of college football. So to get into that, so your greens, once again, in my opinion, this is not in chronological order. It could be. I would probably say that the only teams that would be flipped are Alabama and Indiana. I think it's Ohio State, Indiana, and then probably Bama, A&M, and then you could flip-flop between the two, but Georgia and Oregon are probably those two next teams. And then USF. Memphis loses. They're over here in this yellow region. If they come in and maybe upset South Florida, then they're probably back in this contention. But as of right now, I think USF is the best group of 5 team. I think they get the AQ into the playoff. But, I mean, you've got 8 green teams that I think are, at this point, week 8 of college football, are pretty much a shoe-in for the college football playoff unless something happens. Unless they lose, unless something huge, just crazy change. Like if Alabama loses Ty Simpson, then maybe that could change them down, not just a loss, but also a loss of a player. And so you've got Tech, Georgia Tech, who I'm not quite sold on. I mean, their schedule has just been so, just not really competitive. I mean, they beat Clemson, but at the same time, like, Clemson's horrible this year. Ole Miss goes on the road, battles Georgia. Kirby once again gets the best of Lane. Seems like that's a reoccurring thing every year. But I still think Ole Miss can potentially play for this SEC championship. It's just the fact that every week it feels like there's a ranked game in the SEC that could have implications on who plays in this conference championship game. I truly don't think we will know who is going to be in this championship game until the very last weekend or the last 2 weekends. I mean, it's that up in the air. And then you've got JMU, who just beat a really good Old Dominion team. They could potentially give USF a run for their money for that Group of 5 AQ. BYU, who just jumped up to the number 10 team in the nation. This team is legit. I mean, they've looked really good. They've played some really good football. I think that this is a team that could potentially be the winner of the Big 12 now that Texas Tech lost to Arizona State. But once again, Arizona State got Sam Leavitt back, and Morton didn't play for Tech. So take that as you want. Just a couple of games that I potentially think that you should probably look a little bit closer into. A&M goes on the road, and it's hard to win on the road, especially in the SEC. Goes on the road to Arkansas, who's having a pretty down year, and only wins by 3. This was a back-and-forth game. Texas A&M was up, and then all of a sudden, Arkansas just came storming back and ended up making it a 3-point game. Ole Miss, Georgia. Ole Miss looked really good in the first half. They moved the ball, and then it just completely fourth quarter happened, and I think they at one point in time they had 1 yard of total offense in the fourth quarter, and Georgia ends up just grinding one out, puts up 43 points, and that's really uncommon for a Georgia offense. Usually it's okay, their defense is going to hold you to 21 to 28, and that's good enough for them to win. But they end up scoring 43. They win 43 to 35. Big win for Georgia. The Dogs are rolling again. And then you go down to the Tennessee-Alabama game. Alabama handles Tennessee at home. Looked like a statement win. Alabama looked really good the entire game. Tennessee, once again, I think that they drop into this yellow/red. You could argue that they're one of the two. But I just don't see Tennessee making the college football playoff after losing 2 games. Granted, it's 2 games to 2 top teams, but I mean, you just won't see it, unfortunately. Tech loses to Arizona State. Arizona State, once again, right back in this contention for this Big 12. You've got BYU, Cincinnati, Arizona State, and Texas Tech. Those look like the teams, the 4 teams that are going to compete for this conference. BYU is 4-0. Cincinnati's 4-0. Arizona State and Tech are 3-1. Tech, I believe, does play BYU in the coming weeks, so that will be a hell of a game with big implications. If the Morton kid plays, it's a whole different ball game. Tech looked really good. Almost beat Arizona State without their starting quarterback, which is really hard to do. But that will be a huge game. And then if Cincinnati, they play BYU, so you're going to see if BYU wins and beats Cincinnati, and then Tech wins and beats BYU, we're going to look at a really interesting conference championship. I'm not sure if it goes off point differential, because you can't really go off of head-to-head matchups because not everybody plays everybody. So it'll be really interesting to see. I don't quite know what the tiebreaker is, but that'll be fun to see. I know that Arizona State's schedule for the rest of the year is pretty. I mean, they lost to Utah and lost to Mississippi State, but they play Houston, who's 2-2, Houston, who's 3-1, Iowa State, West Virginia, Colorado, Arizona. So there is an outside chance that this Arizona State team that we've pretty much cut off after they lost early in the year without Leavitt could potentially sneak back in and do what they did last year and just all of a sudden shoo their way into a conference championship game and end up making the college football playoff once again. Because that team, Kenny Dillingham with his pieces, really good. But without Leavitt, that team doesn't really roll. They've missed Scatterboo quite a bit this year. But when you've got Leavitt and Jordan Tyson, you've got a chance in every game. Moving on, Miami. Big loss, huge loss at home by 3 to Louisville. Huge loss for them. They no longer control their own destiny in the ACC. They would need one of, I believe, SMU or who was it earlier? SMU or Virginia to lose. Miami does play SMU. They don't play Virginia, but Virginia plays SMU. So that is going to be quite the game. And then Georgia Tech has got 4 pretty easy games coming up. I mean, they've got Syracuse at home, NC State on the road, Boston College on the road, and Pitt at home. And then they end the year playing Georgia in that rivalry game. So potentially you're going to see a 11-0 Georgia Tech team walk into Georgia or go have Georgia come to them and play a pretty meaningful game at the very end of the year, which will be cool. But nobody's going to be watching that game. Everybody's going to be watching EIU versus Alabama. Come on, let's be real. But ACC is going to shake up pretty big. We'll see what that does to that conference. And then the only other conference that really right now, the only conference that really looks like it's going to be set in stone is the Big Ten. Looks like it's going to be Ohio State, Indiana, unless Ohio State loses to Michigan or Indiana drops a game to somebody they absolutely shouldn't. But SEC looks, I mean, it's any given week, man. I mean, there's still so many big games left to be played. A&M and Bama right now are at your top of your conference with Georgia, Ole Miss, and Texas, Missouri, Oklahoma, Vandy, all only one loss. I mean, you've got a lot of teams in this conference with only one loss. So we'll see. You just don't know. I mean, there's so many big games left, and I'm not going to look ahead on schedules for a lot of teams, but I mean, you've still got, just for instance, Bama, who's still got South Carolina at South Carolina, plays LSU, plays Oklahoma. Then they play the juggernaut, which is Eastern Illinois Panthers, on November 22nd. So you can go ahead and chalk that one up as a loss. So Bama's going to roll into the last game of the year with at least 2 losses. And then they play the Iron Bowl. You never know in that game. It seems like it's close every year. But Auburn looks horrible. With all the coaches being fired right now, because Billy Napier, Florida's head coach, was just fired today after they won, which is very interesting. You don't usually see that. I mean, Florida, yeah, they're 3-4, but it's like, it's just interesting to me that they fired their head coach after they won. I mean, they're still 3-4. They still have a chance to make a bowl game. But I guess if you don't think he's the guy, you don't think he's the guy. It just hurts when you fire a head coach and then you lose recruits because you fire the head coach. Because a little insight on college recruiting, if your head coach gets fired, you should leave immediately. The head coach that recruited you, if they get fired, leave. Like that's a real thing. But I mean, this week, just go and look at the games, and you're just going to be like, holy Moses! Like Nebraska loses big to Minnesota. Louisville beats Miami. Vandy beats LSU at home by 7. Huge game for Vandy. Vandy gets College Game Day against Mizzou next week. That's going to be a really fun game. Mizzou, who we've got over here in the yellow, could potentially sneak their way into this or contender region with a win. I mean, that's a big win. That's going to be a top. The poll came out, but I'm not super sure who's in what. I haven't really paid a lot of attention. I know Notre Dame's up to 12. That's really the only team that I've been kind of keying in on. But we shall see. I mean, you've got, as of right now, from On3, the AP poll, you've got Ohio State at 1, Indiana at 2, A&M at 3, Bama at 4, Georgia at 5, Oregon at 6, Georgia Tech at 7, Ole Miss at 8, Miami at 9, Vandy, who's a top 10 team now, BYU at 11, Notre Dame at 12, Oklahoma at 13, Tech 14, 15 Mizzou, 16's Virginia, like we talked about earlier, 17's Tennessee. The USF Bulls, I know Dawson's really rolling right now, man. They're 18. They're looking in the right direction. They got a big game against Memphis coming up. That's probably the biggest game that's looming for them. the Louisville Cardinals sneak into the top 25 with a big win against Miami. LSU drops from 11 all the way down to 20. Their season's pretty much over with. Their chances at a college football playoff is pretty much dwindled down to nothing. They would need a massive win in the preceding weeks to be able to even think that they can make it. They would probably have to beat A&M and Bama to pretty much get in. There's no way they're sneaking in with 3 losses. They would have to beat both of those, the third and fourth ranked team in the nation, which is just brutal. And then you got Cincinnati at 21, Texas at 22, the Fighting Illini sneak in at 23, Arizona State back in the top 25 at 24, and then Michigan is back in the top 25 at 25. But I think that this list so far going into this week, obviously it's subject to change next week. We might see some crazy upsets. You just never know. But I think your contenders are pretty much, those green ones are set in stone, bearing anything crazy happens. And then Vandy and Notre Dame, I think they're pretty much right on that doorstep of being a contender. Notre Dame gets a huge win against USC, who looked really good in the first half. Looked like they were going to kind of just keep rolling on offense, and I was getting pretty nervous. But Notre Dame ends up turning them over. Had some huge takeaways. Christian Gray had a huge takeaway after pretty much being burnt toast all game. And they end up winning that game by 10. Huge win for them. Huge that they just keep rolling. I know that I saw on a podcast that I watched earlier on my drive home, a guy was talking, I think his name's JD. He works for On3, but I think it's JD like Pickle or something. He basically said that this is the same spot Notre Dame was in a year ago after the loss from Northern Illinois, where they are basically playing playoff football every week. And when you beat a USC team that's a top 25 ranked team at the time, they're probably still in the year top 25, and your quarterback plays his worst game of his college career, but you rush for 300 yards on the ground. I mean, I titled this episode, "Do You Feel the Love?" because Jeremiah Love is the best running back in the country. I mean, clear cut, to the point, 200 yards rushing, 228 rushing on a top 25 program. Legit. I mean, he's legit the best running back in the nation. And I will stand on that till you present me with somebody else that's better. So, but you can go debate a wall with that. You can sit here and narc Notre Dame for this, that, and the other, all this stuff about losses, whatever. But Jeremiah Love is the best running back in the nation. He will win the best running back in the nation award. Just gonna put that out there. But college football, once again, I mean, we'll go ahead and look into next week. I don't love looking into next week until the week like arises or is available to like kind of just project, look at it, step back for a moment, see it. Because I don't believe next week there's that many big games. I mean, you've got Oregon plays at home against Wisconsin. Wisconsin is horrible. Tell my girlfriend every single day that Wisconsin is just awful at football. I mean, they have a hard schedule, but they need to fire Luke Fickell. He's not the guy there. The experiment's over. Illinois plays a big game at Washington, which is a hard place to play. 2 5-2 teams. Probably, I would say that Washington is probably one of the teams that has a sort of should be in the conversation for receiving votes. I don't think they're a top 25 ranked team, but it's a hard place to play, going all the way across the country to play a football game. Indiana plays UCLA, who is rolling now. Georgia Tech plays Syracuse, another cupcake game for them. Probably the biggest game of the week is Ole Miss playing at Oklahoma. Mateer's back. So that'll be a fun game to watch. And then you've got the USF Bulls, baby. They are playing Memphis at Memphis. If they win, they are 100% in. Bama plays South Carolina, Mizzou, Vandy. That's game day. That'll be a fun game. BYU plays at Iowa State. Iowa State, was ranked a couple weeks ago. They've had some bad losses. Now they're unranked. They could still give BYU a run for their money. And then just looking at the other games, Texas A&M plays LSU like we talked about earlier. And then that's pretty much it for big games, you've got Michigan and Michigan State. That's always a fun game. Houston and Arizona. That's two one-loss teams in the Big 12. So that'll be a fun game. But for the most part, not a big week of college football. Some fun games, not a whole lot of fun games, not like this last weekend. So, but yeah, that's kind of the look ahead for next week for college football. Recap on this week. Notre Dame, keep rolling, just keep rolling. I cannot wait. November 22nd, I'll be in South Bend. I don't know if we'll be able to do a podcast that Sunday. I'm staying in South Bend, so that'll be a fun time. Hopefully they can beat Syracuse, and then that'll be pretty much the icing on the cake for me. Haven't been to a Notre Dame game since I was, man, I'm not gonna say little because I've never been little. So I'll just I'll say since I was probably 8. I want to say 8 or 9. I don't know, but I'm super hyped up for that. Might do a pre-recorded live for that day, or I might do like, I know that's a night game, so I might recap all the earlier college football games and then go ahead and submit that, and then do NFL the next day. But we'll see. Obviously, if you guys don't already, follow me on Instagram. I post whenever I'm going live that day, to let everybody know what time, when, where. So, moving on, looking at the NFL today, my Bears got a big win today, 4 in a row for them. Looking good. I mean, played a Saints team that's not very good, and that's just kind of the whole story. A game that they should win. They were favored, definitely should win, so they did. That's good. Rams take care of business against the Jags. Jags look horrible. Brian Thomas Jr. Got hurt in this game, so it'll be interesting to see what comes out about that. Travis Hunter does finally kind of break out in a sense. They get their first 100-yard game out of him, 8 catches for 101 and a touchdown. Kind of the battle of, I would say, the mid there, Panthers, Jets, 13-6. Bryce Young did get hurt in this game, so be interesting to see. They haven't come out and said what his injury was. I know that in the game it looked like it was an ankle injury. But if the Red Rifle's playing next week, that'll be a heck of a showing because that old boy can sling it now. But Tyrod, probably the biggest thing in this game was that Justin Fields gets benched for Tyrod Taylor. Aaron Glenn came out last week and basically said that they weren't going to do this. He said, screw it, we're doing it. So Tyrod ends up coming in the game. Jets are just really bad, man. They're probably going to have the first overall pick this year. See if they go quarterback, see if they kind of give up on the JF1 experiment. Just unfortunate for him. I was a big Justin Fields fan when we drafted him, but he just doesn't look like he's going to be a guy in the NFL. So that's unfortunate, but oh well. Moving on. Raiders, Chiefs. Chiefs just completely dismantle the Raiders. Raiders have to draft a quarterback. I mean, Geno is just not it. Ashton Genty, I mean, they're down the entire game. Genty doesn't really get going. The biggest story for this game is probably the fact that Rashee Rice is back. He had 2 touchdowns today. I mean, just 10 targets for seven catches and 42 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, he's a fantasy demon. I'm glad that I have him. I'm glad that he's been on my bench for 7 weeks, but now he's back. So let's go. We're rolling. Browns beat the Dolphins. And once again, Tua turned the ball over. Horrible. Just horrible. Biggest thing in this game, Judkins is just looking like he's probably going to be one of the best running backs in this class. He might be at this time the best running back taken in this class. Gets three scores today, 84 yards, 25 attempts. Big game for him. Browns win. Patriots keep rolling. They look really good. Drake May looks like he might be the best quarterback to come out of that class with Caleb, JD, and him. Huge game for him. They win again. Cam Ward didn't look bad. He had one really, really bad turnover. But Titans are also just really horrible. They got to get a receiver. They got to get a running back. Defense is still just meh. As you can see over here in the right corner, there's the Bryce Young injury, didn't return. And then the Bears. Kind of a mediocre day from Caleb. Didn't look like he was all that sharp today. Had a couple good passes that really did separate himself. But 15 to 26, 172 yards, did have an interception that was really bad. But the story of the game, Bears tandem running backs, DeAndre Swift, 124 yards, a touchdown. And then Kyle Monangai, 13 attempts, 81 yards, 1 touchdown every week. Even though DeAndre Swift has been playing better as of late, every week Kyle Monangai continues to get touches every week. So who knows, this split backfield might become closer and closer every week that we watch. Bears receiving, obviously Caleb didn't really have to throw all that much. DJ leads the team in yards, had 3 for 43, Rome 2 for 31. But the story of the game was the Bears defense. I mean, they had 4 takeaways. Rattler threw three picks and had a turnover or had a fumble. But big game for the Bears. Move on next, or got to look to next week. Got to keep rolling. This and then the Eagles Vikings, pretty much a shootout to the end. Eagles, Jalen Hurts has a big game throwing the ball. Once again, Saquon Barkley doesn't really look all that great. Kind of has had a down year-ish, 18 attempts for 44 yards, and had 1 catch. The biggest thing of the game, A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith. I mean, 13 catches combined and over 300 yards of receiving. I mean, Hurts pretty much looked to them the whole game. Hurts had 3 touchdowns through the air. Huge game for him. And then once again, the Vikings without J.J. McCarthy. Wentz still looked good. Did have 2 picks. Jordan Addison breaking out. 9 catches for 128. Jefferson 5 for 79. Still solid. But just big game once again for them. They just, got to find a way to win. Vikings dropped to 3-3. They are now, I believe, in the 4th spot for the NFC North. We'll see. Keep rolling, Bears. And then the Sunday night football game is the Falcons and 49ers. Should be an offensive game. Should be fun. And then the 2 games, or 3, there's 4 games going on at the time. Colts are beating the Chargers 13-3. Looks like Jonathan Taylor's already scored a touchdown. And then the Giants and Broncos, this game, a lot of people were picking against the Giants. But it looks like Dart's already got a touchdown pass, 90 yards. And it looks like the Broncos are struggling to move the ball. Packers are down 3 right now. Looks like Jordan Love and Jacoby Brissett are duking it out right now for who's going to throw for more yards. And then this is probably the game that I'm most interested in. This is the game that I'm probably going to go watch. Cowboys Commanders should be a high-scoring game. Looks like Dak's already off to a solid start. Javonte's got a touchdown. And then I believe JD had a touchdown to Zach Ertz. Yep, he did. Bill, 25 yards rushing so far. And then Christian Moore caught a big pass from Jaden Daniels. CeeDee Lamb's back this week for the Cowboys. Big help to them. I know that the Commanders are without basically their top 3 targets, Curtis Samuel, Deebo Samuel, and Terry McLaurin. So they're in for a unique afternoon trying to figure out how to score some points, but it looks like they're off to an okay start. JD should be able to move the ball in that pretty mediocre Dallas defense. Just see if they can score more points than that Dallas offense. It looks like it might be the best offense in the NFL. And then your Monday night games, you've got the Bucs and Lions. That game should be really fun. It'll be interesting to see who plays for the Bucs. As of right now, Evans, Egbuka, Bucky, all questionable. Godwin has been ruled out. I know Bucky was probably going to be scratched this week, so it'll be interesting to see who plays for them, who doesn't play for them. And if that's the case, I believe that I heard Mike Evans has to, because he's obviously Mike 1K, Mr. 1,000 yards every year. He needs 80 yards receiving a game to be able to he needs to average at least 80 yards receiving a game to get to that prestigious 1,000 yard mark that he's been so good at getting every single year. And then the Texans Seahawks, I think the Seahawks pretty much roll this game. Even though the Texans have looked better as of late, the offense has kind of gotten rolling again, kind of looking like that first year of CJ Stroud's career. But at the same time, you just never know. And then how could I forget the Unk Bowl? I mean, the combined age in this game, I believe, was like almost 80 years old for the starting quarterbacks. I mean, that's just awesome. And just throwing it back in time for us fans that are in our late teens, early 20s, or if you're like Riley Goodwin, your late 20s, who's been watching football since I think Joe Montana was probably in his first year playing quarterback. So he thinks he knows a lot of ball, but he has been watching for a long time. I'm pretty sure he saw Jerry Rice break the record for receiving yards like 4 different times. So it's pretty old, but he's almost as old as like Joe Flacco and Aaron Rodgers. He's getting up there. But this was like his favorite game to watch of the week. Aaron Rodgers throws for 4 touchdowns. Flacco throws for 3. Ja'Marr Chase goes absolutely bonkers in this game. 16 catches. Flacco pretty much only looked to him and T. Higgins, which is how it should be. 23 targets for Ja'Marr Chase. This is called feeding the beast. Goes 16 for 161 on a touchdown. Higgins 6 for 96 on a touchdown. Chase Brown finally kind of has that breakout game where he doesn't really catch the ball. I mean, he had 4 targets for 2 receptions and he had -8 yards. But 108 yards on 11 attempts is pretty good. I mean, that is putting in work. Jaylen Warren on the other side, 16 for 127. Now, Warren, 4 catches for 31 yards, PPR, fantasy football. If anybody's into that, we can go over that sometime. But had a really productive game. Freiermuth, big game, had a big pass, 68 yards that pretty much got the Steelers back into it. But biggest story of this game was the fact that A-Rod and Joe Flacco both with productive rushing yards. So shout out to the Unk Bowl. It was a really fun game to watch, funny game. Shout out the Steelers, going to go 9-8. Shout out Von Black, going to go 9-8. But they're goated. Yeah, we'll see. Steelers will be 12-2 whenever or no, they'll be, let's see. They might be 12-5 when Vaughn finally grows some hair. So we'll see. But that was the games for this week. Looking ahead to next week, the Bears are going to play the Ravens. Lamar should be back. So I'm going to go ahead and take my pick here. Even though the Ravens are 1-5, which you can't really look at and say, oh, it's they're 1-5, the Bears should be favored. It is at Baltimore, and Lamar should be back. They were on a bye this week, but who knows? As of right now, the Bears are plus a touchdown. I would assume that line probably goes to closer to like 7.5, 8.5, maybe 9 by the time the game starts, if Lamar is projected to play. Which I think he is on track to. So tough game. Bears defense will have to really lock in, be ready to kind of keep Derrick Henry in check, keep him under like 80 yards. That's a win. And then have Lamar not play like Lamar, kind of keep him from running all over and making plays like he usually does. We'll see with the hamstring how it feels, how it looks. Be interesting to see, but I think that's a game that the Bears probably drop. But it'll be a really good test for our defense, for our offense to kind of keep up with that Baltimore attack. And so I'll be interested. It'll be a great game to watch, but at the same time, you got to call a stone a stone. So that's pretty much a review. I know it was kind of quick, but Notre Dame, big win. Bears, big win. Both my teams won. Saturdays and Sundays are good when my teams win. This podcast is more fun when my teams win. But shout out of the week, probably going to be the Bears defense. Mix of the Bears defense and Jeremiah Love. I mean, just carrying all my mental health for sports. But always a fun weekend when there's good ball on. Illinois basketball is just around the corner. They're playing today in an exhibition against Illinois State. Haven't really got to look in on that game. But be fun once that starts. We'll cover that a lot. I'm a huge Illinois men's basketball fan, so that'll be fun. But that's all. That's pretty much all I've got for this week. That's my shout outs. Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing. T Wayne, roll thirds. Yep, always don't look at the box score from this last week. Just don't do it. Trust me. Just trust me. But yeah. So looking next week, definitely be on Sunday. Probably be around the same time. I kind of like this 3:30 window so I can recap some of the NFL games. And I'm going to look towards trying to get a box in the stream so that the NFL games that are on at the 3:30 window or the 3 o'clock window are also coinciding, so that nobody's really missing the game and also missing this podcast, because nobody should miss this podcast, but that's whatever. But yeah, so episode 13, do you feel the love? Because USC did yesterday. So hope everybody has a blessed week. Keep on keeping on. Keep stacking days. That's all you got to do. And I hope everybody is just succeeding in life right now. Hope the boys are all doing good, and girls, if there's girls that are out here watching this. I don't think there is, besides my own mother. So, but hope everybody has a blessed week. And if you're going to do one thing good in this life this week, just tell somebody that their NFL or college football team sucks. And that'll start some healthy dialogue. So with that being said, this is episode 13 of the 217 podcast. Tune in next Sunday, and we'll recap everything. So until then, see you later.